Hello, and welcome to the channel Pro Vagus. We talk all things about vagus nerve, its critical role in our body, in our health, in our mental being. And today 15 minutes video will be most useful as I try to put together all the major information, major facts about vagus nerve. So this video is all you need to know about vagus nerve. But before we continue with the video, let me introduce myself. My name is Ola Litvinov. I'm this year 55 years old. Major part of my life I've been living with autoimmune condition Hashimoto. Now it's all gone. And one of the key stages in my healing was understanding of the vagus nerve. And today's video is devoted to this. Everything you need to know about vagus nerve. So if you're interested in this theme, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and include notification, and you will learn more technique, more news, more recent studies about role and effect of the vagus nerve, and more importantly, practical implication of how you yourself can activate vagus nerve. So let's begin. Vagus nerve. We know about it from ancient times. Vagus nerve, from Latin, it is wandering nerve. And it's not a surprise that it is called that way, because it's the longest nerve in our body. And here on a diagram, you will see that it is basically connected with all the major organs of our body, starting with all our senses and then connected with the heart, with the digestion system, with the liver, just to name a few. First person who discovered the vagus nerve was famous medical researcher Galen, who was working in the ancient Rome, and he discovered by observing the gladiators that depending on the wounds in the certain parts of their body, their mental health, if we would call it this way, was also changed. This made him wonder that perhaps we have certain nerves in our body which impact our mental health. And this is how cranial nerves were discovered, and one of them is vagus nerve. Vagus nerve enters our body here, approximately under the hairline. It starts entering our body and wanders through different major organs. Wandering is also means that vagus nerve creates a communication between these key bodies. It sets a signal. What kind of signal we will learn in this video. For a long time, since Galen time, the understanding of the vagus nerve was very straightforward. We all knew that vagus nerve is the main nerve of our parasympathetic nervous system. As you know, our nervous system is split into two branches. Parasympathetic branch, which activated and we feel more balanced, calm, grounded, and sympathetic nervous system, which has been activated when we feel stress, pressure, or feeling fear. This was very straightforward. I would call it black and white understanding of our nervous system. And it doesn't explain where depression comes in, what nervous system is activated, what system is activated if we feel chronic fatigue. That straightforward understanding existed until the work of the Stephen Porges and his famous theory and book Polyvagal Theory. Polyvagal theory means that he discovered that vagus nerve has actually two branches which are quite different in its role. And that discovery opens for us understanding of the physiological nature of the depression and feeling chronic fatigue. So what Stephen Porges discovered in his polyvagal theory? He discovered that in fact vagus nerve has two different branches, ventral branch and dorsal branch. Here on the diagram, ventral branch is shown in a green color, and dorsal branch shown in the red color. In a yellow color on this diagram, he describes the sympathetic nervous system. And you can see that the yellow branch is mostly concentrated around our spine line. Not a surprise that when we feel stressed or mobilized with fear, we feel like something cold around our spine line. In his work, Stephen Porges concluded that we have three main states of our nervous system. The first state is the activation of the ventral branch of the vagus nerve, and Stephen Porges called that mobilization without fear. This is where we feel engaged, motivated, curious, trusting the life, willing to be socially engaged, trusting other people, and looking for contact. This is our basic state of being. If we, in this state of being, normally we have a very low inflammation because vagus nerve regulates the inflammation. We are producing hormones of happiness, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. We feel grounded and balanced. But if we cannot resolve the challenges of our life, we move into second condition, and he called it mobilization with fear. This is where sympathetic nervous system comes into activation. We feel fight and flight, and this is the stage. And if we are in this stage, ventral part of the vagus nerve is disactivated. We cannot be in this state in the same time. They exist in hierarchical model, meaning if we are in one state, we are not in the others. But what happens if being in a chronic stress, in a chronic fight and flight mode, we cannot find the resolution? We stop sleeping well, we maybe continue to have a bad nutrition, we're lacking certain critical nutrient, and if this chronic fight and flight doesn't get resolved, doesn't have that resolution, that we can move into third state. And this is where the dorsal branch of the vagus nerve is activated, indicated here in the red color. This is Stephen Porges called immobilization with fear. In this state, we feel fatigue, depressed. We are not looking for any connection. We want, kind of isolate ourselves. We are trying to disconnect with the world. We are not trusting. We have no motivation. We are struggling to survive. What practical meaning of that theory is? What it means is that we have to strive to put ourselves in the first state, mobilization without fear. How we can do it on the physiological level? By stimulating, activating vagus nerve. And this stimulation, and specifically we are talking about ventral branch of the vagus nerve, we disactivate sympathetic nervous system and we disactivate this dorsal branch of the vagus nerve. As you can see in this diagram, there is one organ or system of the organs where ventral branch corresponds, connects with the dorsal, and this is our digestion. And if green ventral part is activated, our digestion is strong. We produce enzyme, we digest the nutrients, and we generate happy hormones. But if dorsal branch is activated, we oftentimes cannot digest anything. We oftentimes feel like a stone fall in our stomach. We feel cramps or maybe gas or bloating. This is what happens if we move from being in the chronic stress into condition where we feel fatigue, depressed, constantly reactive to something. This is how vagus nerve affect our digestion. This is why some of the leading laboratories that creates a perfect probiotic, such as Microbiome Labs, products of which I love very much for myself and for the clients, they often say we can create perfect products, but without activation of the vagus nerve, they may not give a sustainable result. How vagus nerve is important and where it is important in our health. Oftentimes I see it as a missing link in our journey to well-being and health. Why? Because all healing, repair, detox in our body starts when our body feel no fear, we feel balanced. That is why if we don't resolve the stress, if we don't activate vagus nerve, we can take all sorts of good nutrition or medicaments or even do different techniques or procedures or treatments, and we're still struggling with the same problem. This is why digestion is oftentimes remains a very weak point in our health. Gassing, bloating, constipation, cramps, allergy reaction. This is why for digestion, before we do anything good with changing nutrition, with giving proper supplements, we need to relax our body. We need to activate vagus nerve, and specifically its ventral branch. But now in holistic medicine, when we talk about activation of the vagus nerve, we're talking about ventral branch. Here it's indicated with a green color. So in which condition vagus nerve has its critical role? I don't know which condition it doesn't play. Let's start with mental health, depression. We have multiple studies which show the clear link between vagus nerve and mental health, depression. Not only digestion, allergy, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, premature aging, circadian rhythm and sleep, the blood pressure and cardiovascular diseases, the diabetes of different forms, chronic pain. Oftentimes, when you're struggling with the symptoms for a long time and they don't go away, look for vagus nerve. There is now a theory which getting more and more attention in the holistic medicine, represented by the work of Dr. Kleinhardt, and this is called the theory of the vagus nerve inflammation. He, through his practice, and I think he's in the practice for 47 years, and he is a very mature and experienced person, and he observed among his eyes thousands and thousands of patients, and he discovered that in 96, if I remember it right, cases of the people with autoimmune diseases, there was an inflammation of the vagus nerve. We don't know, is it inflammation of the vagus nerve which contributes to the autoimmune disease, or is it autoimmune disease is causing the inflammation of the vagus nerve? But such correlation is important. It is important to look at the health of our vagus nerve and take good care of that. How we can do it? Gladly now we know hundreds and hundreds of ways of how we can activate vagus nerve. From techniques which cost absolutely nothing, but proven, even studies exist, like for example emotion of when you really truly experience that emotion, studies shows our vagus nerve is activated. Or for example, contrast showers or contrast temperature. It's cost nothing and it affects vagus nerve. But sometimes if our chronic stress condition lasts for a long time, it may not be enough. Now we have all sorts of other techniques, from breathing, essential oils, from certain trigger point, massage point, and my favorite, frequencies and vibration. In my view, this is a magic wand to stimulate vagus nerve. And on this channel, I will share demonstration video and experience of those who tried upon themselves. Every time I hear, I feel fantastic, I feel balanced, I feel calm, I feel resilient, I start sleeping. You can also learn how to do it yourself. We will soon open the vibrational school Pro Vagus, and on this description to this video you can subscribe to Telegram or to WhatsApp group where we will give more information when school is open. Within 40 minutes we can take away any pain and we can release ourselves within 3 sessions from chronic anxiety, from worry, from depression, and restore our digestion and our well-being. So that is certainly to take into account. But you don't need necessarily to use the professional or semi-professional tools. You can do different breathing technique. There are certain breathing technique which activate vagus nerve more promptly than the other. Start, for example, with a very simple humming. You close your ears, you close your eyes, and then you hum. Do it for 10 or 15 minutes in a quiet place and just see how you feel after. You can use essential oils, and one of the best essential oils I find is the lime, is the frankincense, is chamomile oil, but generally ylang-ylang. These are the type of oils which can help us to relax. And if you put it behind your ears, this is where the ending of the vagus nerve, and massage it slightly, and maybe also massage ears like that, you will immediately start feeling calm. But if you put techniques of activation of the vagus nerve in your daily routine, you can achieve incredible results. I'm often asked how to start to take care of my vagus nerve systematically. I would do the following. First and most, I would have taken care of your sleep. Everything happens during sleep. In the day, we prepare certain conditions, but during sleep, we have our adrenals rebalanced, we have growth hormone produced, we have liver detox, we have repair of all cells happening in our body. If you don't sleep tight, if you don't go into the deeper phase of sleep, we will be constantly running on extra adrenal charge, and eventually we will feel a chronic fatigue. There are 5 reasons why we do not sleep, and here in description description of the video I will leave the link to mini course I have prepared for those who would like to start sleep. Please don't rely on melatonin or other sleeping aids, because they would never give us the possibility to go into the deep restorative phase of sleep, and this is what we need. And try the other techniques which already exist on our channel, and subscribe to channel because we have more techniques coming. But in this video I wanted to introduce you the major fact of the vagus nerve and drive you to the main conclusion. Take your health, your well-being in your own hands. And if you're struggling with any chronic pain or chronic fatigue or some maybe autoimmune condition or any other symptoms that you didn't find the resolution, look for missing link in the puzzle, and it will be activation of the vagus nerve. And on this note, I would like to conclude our video. I encourage you to put a like to this video. This is how you can indicate your interest, and maybe leave the comment which of the health challenges you struggle with, and maybe you would like to hear specifically how to activate vagus nerve for your specific challenge. Leave your comment, and until soon.